actually, I don't have a question, and I'm kind of just looking for confirmation from the ultimate place that there really is nothing that I can do, like even putting feelings, like watching the feelings in the body, and I've been really like letting them express and everything, but then when it all just drops away, it seemed that all of that was pointless anyway. And I don't know, there's just like now, because there's re-identification again, I just kind of want confirmation that actually no matter what I do, no matter like how much spiritual practice I do, that nothing is actually going to happen. And if it drops away, it's just going to drop away by itself. Like, that's what my experience has been. But then every time I try and relay this experience to someone, it kind of gets tried to be put back in, yes, but you must inquire, or you must do this, and it just, I don't know, just something feels very shaky with this.
So when you're asking that question, where does the feeling come from? Where does that, so what are you seeking for in the answer for that question?
I just, I mean, I know, because when it drops, it drops. So say again, sorry?
So why do you need the answer to that question?
Because I guess there's still some identity that wants to know. Something wants confirmation from a being that is completely gone, that actually there's no like practice that I can physically do, even though it seems that way in the play, that I needed to go and see these gurus and do all this work and feel the feelings in the body. It seems that way, but actually it really doesn't have any relevance. And that's like what my experience is, but something wants just someone to say like, yeah, that's true.
What will I give you if I say, yes, that's true?
Relief, because the relief is felt when the seeing happens, but then when I try and get confirmation that this seeing is correct, there seems to be like this kind of like, no, you need to inquire, and it just doesn't, and then I get confused, and then it seems that there's like this believing in the mind, and I need to inquire, and who's inquiring, and it seems like I've done this like vicious circle like almost 3 times now in the space of a year and a half, of like this seeing of there's nothing that I can do, and then this like rebuilding of, oh actually no, there's sadhana to do, there's this to do, you know?
So where did you get the impression that someone said there was nothing you could do? Or that was from your experience?
Yeah, it was like after all of this like trying and doing all of the spiritual practice, and like it was always in a state of suffering, then suddenly it would all drop away, and there'd just be this very clear seeing of there's completely nothing that I can do, it's just going to drop when it drops. There was a very like clear understanding of that, but then after time, like the identity would come back in and kind of like get a hold, and then there'd be this whole starting of spiritual practice again and that kind of thing.
Yeah, this is a really complicated question, because it basically the fake you is asking for relief from me, from its imagined fake me, like you're imagining someone. So you're asking me to help you in the storyline, to make you feel better in the storyline.
Okay.
Which is really, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that, but that storyline never wakes up.
Okay.
What I'm trying to say to you is, your question, you're asking for me to give you an answer of yes or no is not valid. Basically what's happening is, after the awakenings are happening, the mind's coming back and making its drama.
Yeah.
And its drama is, should I or shouldn't I do something? And I don't say that you shouldn't do something, it's just irrelevant. It's not about practicing or not practicing, because there isn't someone there to practice or not practicing, it's collapsing of that. But it doesn't mean that you do or don't practice. Doesn't mean that. It just
seems like, Sorry.
It just is a questioning that dynamic that's always trying to get somewhere. and where it believes it's going to get to. So now it's made up this drama in itself and this tension in itself, that it believes that it's got to make a decision about its life and that it's got to choose to practice or not practice. And if it does or doesn't practice, it may affect the future outcome. And this is suffering. This isn't a valid problem. I know it seems like a valid problem to you. So I presume that you belong to someone maybe like Muji's community, just from the way you're speaking and from the picture that I see on your Skype. And I presume they are encouraging you to practice, and there is a resistance to practice, and now the person is using that as a drama and doesn't know what to do. And really, the whole drama is just the typical human drama. If it wasn't about this, it would be about something else. You have a problem, whether or not to practice. You have one side saying one thing and you have another side saying another thing, and then you feel you're in relationship to it, and you feel you need to make the right decision in order to secure your future. This is just a typical human drama. This is what plays and films and everything's written on. And then you're asking me to validate you so you can go against the other side.
But it doesn't even seem like that would be possible, because it's like seeing that if inquiry happens, it'll just happen, and even though it's being seen, it'll just arise. Like the inquiry would just come out of nowhere, just as if like thoughts come out of nowhere. And if there's a going along with the inquiry, then that seems to just happen like that.
And if somebody's saying to you, you have to practice, then that's what's happening too.
Yeah. There's not like a decision wanting to be made of should I or shouldn't I practice, because the group that I'm with it's the most incredible, beautiful place that I've ever experienced being. So it's not to do with that, but it's just like the seeing that keeps happening of when it drops, and all the practice that I've been given, it just seems so irrelevant.
Of course, because that you that's been practicing doesn't exist. So yeah, of course it does seem irrelevant, but that's not a drama. You're making it into a drama. To you, it's a drama because that's what the sense of self does. So to you, you feel lack, and you've just made this into the new drama. To be or not to be, to practice or not to practice. It's after everything. It just doesn't matter. Nothing matters.
Yeah, and that like.
But you feel a sense of fear, you feel a sense of seeking, and then your mind's just got onto a new bandwagon, and so many people are stuck on this bandwagon, which way is the right way, or what's the right thing, or I need to be, it won't make any difference. Even if I validate you and I say, you don't need to practice, that's it, it's not going to end that seeking energy now. It might do, but more than likely, then later on, 2 hours later, you'll doubt that again. Why would you listen to me? Or why would that energy listen to me when that energy is there? What it wants to do is seek. It goes from one to the other.
This is it. I just don't understand, because these thoughts are coming and I can see them and I can see how ridiculous they are, and they're not believed. Well, I can't say not all the time, but a lot of the time they're not being believed, they're just being seen. And an emotional reaction will come in the body, which reacts as if the thoughts are being believed.
Yeah.
And then there's this judgment of, well, why is the body and the energy in the body reacting as if the thoughts are being believed when I can see how ridiculous they are? And it's all to do with this seeking energy, but there doesn't seem to be any way of
switching it off.
Yeah.
And it switches off when it switches off.
Yeah, that's it. And it just drops when it drops. And that's why I'm so confused, because it just doesn't seem that there's any kind of a method enabled to get it to drop, apart from when you're seeing from the true place, and then it doesn't matter if it's there or not.
Well, the reason why there is no method to get you there, because you don't exist, but there's always what's happening, and what's happening is 100% relevant.
Yeah.
So there's always what's happening, but there's no you that can or can't get there. So everything that you think you see about yourself is untrue. So all the kind of, it was there and it wasn't there, and I have the awakening and I see that it's not true and this is true, none of that matters. Those are just thoughts appearing in boundlessness, and feelings appearing in boundlessness, and sensations appearing in boundlessness. But we get caught up in believing that one part of that is true and that there's a drama there. It's the reason the mind tries to make a drama is because that's the way society and life has conditioned it, that you are someone and that life is always a drama and that you've always got to struggle against life. This is how we write. I used to be a playwright, so this was my career, and the way that we write TV shows is always built on struggle. So always struggling against obstacles. So this is the way our mind gets conditioned, to always be struggling against an obstacle. So now you're struggling against waking up. And really there's no struggle. Well, there seems to be a struggle to that person that's waking up. But ultimately, from boundlessness point of view, there's no struggle. There is heaven and hell appearing in wholeness, which isn't subject to heaven and hell. But there is heaven and hell in that person, and that person appearing as the opposites in wholeness. And it goes, I like this, I don't like this, I've got it, I've not got it, I have to do something, I don't have to do something, there is a me, there isn't a me. And the whole time none of that means a thing. And the emotions come, strong waves of feeling like you need to get something, and then that passes. And that knower of everything, that aliveness is there the whole time. But when you're identified, it feels really real. When you're identified with this person, it really feels like there is a drama and a struggle. And notice when you do feel like someone, when you feel separate, and you feel like you can move your attention, notice that underneath all thoughts and actions, there's always a seeking energy to be something and do something. And you're always trying to find a place of stability in thoughts, in what you think. So right now you tried to find stability in me telling you there is nothing you can do, or there's nothing you have to do. But that thought isn't stable, because that thought will come and go, and then later on you'll think, there is something I can do, then there isn't something I can do. There is no stability in the flow, but yet the aliveness, the beingness, the presence is 100% stable. But nobody can get that, because that somebody is appearing in the presence. That person isn't experiencing presence, so that person can't get that, but yet it's always presence. Identified or not. That doesn't mean listening to these talks doesn't happen. It doesn't mean going and doing self-inquiry and practice doesn't happen. It doesn't mean that the teacher doesn't say you got to do this in order to get enlightened doesn't happen. That's what happens. None of this makes sense. Everything we think about, everything we talk about is so ludicrous. It's such an illusion. So whether the teacher says you have to do something, or you don't have to do something, or you have to do this to get to enlightenment or not, it doesn't matter. The presence is there regardless. The person runs around the mountain as many times as it's going to run.
I can see this. I can see it's such a drama. When you first said it's a drama, there was something that reacted and was just like, no, I'm not being dramatic. But I can see it. Like, it's so clear that there's just this drama wanting to be had right now.
Yeah. Oh. And that's okay. And it's like, it's not a big drama, it's a mini drama. It's not like going and blowing people up or anything.
Yeah.
But it's what all stories are based on. This or that, should be, shouldn't be. It is as it is, and nothing we think about has any relevance. Imagine if we were taught different thinking. But life would be so different. It just is as it is.
Yeah.
And if there's attraction to go and practice, why not?
Yeah.
If that's what you feel like doing.
Because it's no different to going and following a career path. It's just like satsang just cools my heart, and like being in the presence of someone who's awake just cools my heart. And
but more than likely, the result of following a business path is more than likely going to result in money, and the result of following a non-duality is more than likely going to end up with awakening. I mean, we live in an apparent cause and effect world, even though it isn't ultimately, and then it's seen everything's just arising from stillness. You don't learn to become a ballet player by teaching yourself maths.
Mm-hmm.
Not that it's you that learns to do it, it's you that unlearns, but it's sometimes that happens, sometimes there's spontaneous awakenings, but more times than not there's a going and listening to this and intellectually comprehending it in the body, digesting it, and then it's finally seen that there was no one there the whole time. It was simply life happening, and what a joke.
Yeah. But Lisa, right now I can feel this seeking energy of like I mean, it's being watched from, I don't know what, but they're in the body. I can feel it, and it's like in the throat of like out there. It's out there. Like something out there is going to complete me.
Yeah.
But I've seen it and felt it 1,000 times that it's here.
Yeah.
But yet it keeps coming back and rebuilding that it's out there. And I know it's a lie, but yet the body is reacting.
Well, that's
and
because
I'm believing.
but that's because I mean, this has been going on for many generations of humanity.
Like, so I feel right now that there's just this like grief coming up, like, it's just, it's not true, like, but I can feel it in the body as if it's really true, like, it just, I just want to go home and stay home.
Yeah.
It's so painful, like, pretending to be this, but I know that I wouldn't keep pretending if I didn't want to, and I just think, like, why did I make this so hard for myself?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm laughing now because it's so ridiculous.
So this is really beautiful. This is what comes out from the body, like these struggles, and none of them are true, but we view our life, we view our reality like this. It's sort of locked in the body, these ideas. That it's, why did I make it so hard for myself? This is so hard. And then when that disappears, it's like a joke because there's nothing that's hard, but it feels like that when that energy comes up. And it's got to keep looking outside until that energy runs itself out.
Oh, God.
And it is a painful process waking up, because the movement that you've had, the way the rivers run for your whole life and for many generations before you, is to always seek in time. Freedom is in time. And we're going through a massive change in humanity, which is most probably going to lead to a collective awakening. So we're going through this crazy period as humans. All this suffering energy coming up.
And I'm seeing it more now, like, because I've just, like, after being in a relationship, after being single for 2 years, like, when I started this spiritual journey, there was kind of, like, real kind of self-sufficiency of just being completely in love with God and just putting all my love and devotion to my guru and to my God. And but now I'm seeing, like, because just started like a relationship, and there's like this energy going outwards to that person of, oh, you can complete me, and it's not true. Like, I know it's not true, and when that energy comes up of like the other person to give me love, it's just like, that's such a horrible feeling, because I know that it can never happen. I know that they can never complete me, but yet that, like, seeking energy going towards them is happening, and there's nothing I can do to stop that energy from, like, going outward towards that.
And now when you first started the spiritual practice, the hope and the idealism was on that, and now that begins to get stripped away because you've always been living in a timeline. This is going to lead me somewhere. This is going to lead me to heaven. Even now with your partner, you don't know it, but that's what the energy underneath believes, and none of it's true. And as that begins to get stripped away and begins to become present, normally what happens is we move away from that. So we move away from a partner, or we move away from the guru, or we find something else which excites us. But it makes and feeds that drip that we're going to get something in time. So we have a partner or a boyfriend, and we begin to spend our days imagining being with them. So rather than cooking or sitting or being on the computer or taking a walk, We're imagining this next pleasure of being with them.
Yeah, it's true. And before, when I wasn't in a relationship, I was so happy to just be by myself, and there was no seeking energy going out.
I'm sure you are in the seeking energy. Although this is part of waking up, you're in the seeking energy that I'm going to get it by sitting here. I'm going to get it by this practice. And it's that which is the illusion. It doesn't mean that you don't do that, and you most probably had profound couple of years with your guru, but that is the illusion. That very energy is the illusion. It doesn't mean you don't act things out, and I'm sure it'll be really insightful having this boyfriend or girlfriend and seeing these new and different dynamics. But it's that whole dynamic of always imagining yourself as someone getting somewhere. So you imagine yourself sitting at home, and then you're simultaneously imagining yourself being with your partner. Or you're imagining yourself getting to God. And none of this is true. That's what's created the suffering and made this moment feel dead, made it feel compressed. But we've always lived in this timeline. Since about 4 or 5, we've been told you've got to finish school, you've got to complete the day, you've got to do your homework. Always living in that dynamic. You've got to do well in your exams. You have to be popular. So it's always living in the next thing. You have to be a good girl for your grandma or whatever it is. Then it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And the more and more this energy grows, the more and more suffering that comes. And the best thing that can happen when you feel you're separate is to continuously explore that energy. Like to keep repetitively, only when you feel separate, because ultimately there is no one there and there isn't someone doing something. But when you feel separate, exploring that illusion rather than keep acting it out. But you'll never want to explore it because the mind always wants the hit of pleasure. So in the middle of feeling anxiety with the boyfriend, it's unlikely that you're going to explore it. More than likely what the energy will want to do is get validation from the boyfriend, from a teacher.
Yeah.
But it's so beautiful because each bit by bit, each bit of you, each time this is explored more and more, it gets chipped away, this illusion. But it is a strong energy, and 2 years of doing all this stuff isn't a long time. If you think of humanity, and how much energy has gone into creating this illusory sense of I.
Yeah, it's been an intense 2 years.
It's beautiful though, all these explorations. Like we get into such a dogmatic way of living, believing our society and money making and production line and being a certain way and looking a certain way is what life should look like, and it's so crazy, like the way that we live as a society, but we take that as real. And so exploring these types of subjects challenges everything we think we know, and it opens up all types of possibility, all types of different things that could happen. It opens the heart to everything, rather than being closed off and keep following the same way.
Thank you, Lisa.
Oh, with pleasure. Thank you so much for your honesty. That was really beautiful. I think people will be really grateful for you being so genuine.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Lots of love. Bye.
Bye, Lisa.
So just so you guys know, I like those conversations with people. Not that there's conversations I don't like, but the lovely thing about speaking is the openness. She wasn't trying to be something. There was energies, wisps coming up trying to be something, but every time I pointed it out, there was a collapsing back into that and seeing the not true, the not true. So there was such an openness, and then when her feeling of grief came up, she didn't try to escape it. It was just an expression of it. You become more and more honest. It's fantastic.